So inside of Team Roar, we absolutely crushed it again. We had many wins on the day. A couple of the trades went up over 1,000% plus profit returns. In terms of the video analysis that I gave you earlier this week, I made it very, very clear that the focus was to buy oversold dips on the SPY, as it was going to likely have a gap close reversal to explode up to fill the gap that was waiting to fill above at 589.50. Now that the SPY has not only reversed at that lower gap, but now filled that higher gap, it is time to give you a newly updated price action analysis on the new best setups to be trading at the best levels. Let's get straight into the analysis. Towards the end of this video, I'm going to be breaking down to you step by step the massive wins that we ended up having inside of Team Roar today. So first things first, in terms of this analysis, we're going to start off with a daily chart foundation. So in terms of the daily chart foundation, this is the pattern that I want to bring awareness to. As you can see right here, we have a green bullish candlestick on the SPY. So in terms of this green bullish candlestick, you can see right here on the daily chart, then you have a red daily candle in the middle, then you have a nice gap up and a green daily candle. So you have a green, red, green pattern slanted to the up to the right side, right? And you can see right here, you have the same exact pattern. Green, red, green, and the candlesticks look identical. Look at this candlestick, look at this candlestick, look at this candlestick, look at this candlestick. Look at this candlestick, look at this candlestick. It looks identical. So in terms of the next day, this is what I need you to be aware of. If we are opening up flat, if you are seeing a crack below the previous closing price, so if you see the SPY go under 592.78, you see it start to drop a little bit, you see resistance forming, you're starting to see 30-minute red bearish candlesticks, you're starting to see a crack below 592.78, spikes back up, forms lower highs, turns that previous support and that previous closing price into a new resistance level, you're going to want to be buying put options. Based off of what I'm seeing, if we're opening up flat, the previous closing price is going to be make or break for a short to midterm overall trend on the day. So what I want you to do is, if we are opening up flat towards the previous closing price, I want you to determine and give it some time and see if the SPY is reacting bullish or bearish. What I'm telling you is, if we are opening up flat, this previous closing price is going to be extremely important heading into tomorrow, and it's going to be the best level to be trading at if we are opening up flat for the market open trade. So let those 30-minute candlesticks develop. If you're seeing it react as a resistance, in the pre-market and then towards the market open, you're going to want to be buying puts. If you're seeing it react as a support level towards the market open, you're going to want to be buying calls. So the previous closing price, it's always a level of interest that I'm watching. But in terms of what I'm seeing on the daily chart, if we do open up flat, this is going to be the most important level to be watching at the market open. Based off of the daily chart foundation, it is saying on a flat open that this previous closing price is make or break. So you need to determine if it's reacting as a floor or reacting as a resistance. And if you're wrong about the trade on the first side, you can always switch sides. And basically what it's saying is the overall trend could be a morning to midterm trend, where if it reacts bearish, very, very nice drop from market open to middle of the day. If it reacts bullish, very, very nice spike from market open to middle of the day. So that's what I wanted to share with you in terms of the flat open. Now, in terms of another pattern that I'm seeing, you can see right here, we have a green, red, green, and the SPY gapped up. You can see right here, we have a green, red, green, and the SPY gapped up. And then in terms of the next day, previous closing price reacted as a support. So there's two potential outcomes on that flat open based off of this daily chart pattern. And this correlates with the daily chart pattern that I showed you in terms of where the SPY was at key overall support. And it was likely going to reverse once it closes this gap towards 577. Shortly enough, when there was a green bullish daily candlestick at the gap close reversal level, previous resistance reacted as support, strong bullish daily candlestick right here, strong bullish daily candlestick right here, and then the trend went super bullish. I even told you earlier this week, if you're seeing bullish daily candlesticks towards that gap, you're going to want to swing trade calls. And if you look at the curriculum I teach in terms of, confirming that this history is going to repeat itself, this right here was an identical confirmation to this right here with a gap close reversal, previous, resistance reacted support. So if you're seeing that daily candlestick close bullish like this, swing trade calls, bullish week, swing trade calls, bullish week, this red daily candlestick right here, this red daily candlestick right here, this red daily candlestick right here, bullish week, bullish week, bullish week. I'm showing you the curriculum, man. If you watched that video that I made earlier this week, you should have been focused on calls, and I even said to swing trade calls if you like. Now, What I want you to understand is this as well. So if the SPY gaps down, it's going to try to drop. It's going to try to have a very nice drop and then a bullish recovery during the middle or later into the day. So as you can see right here in terms of pattern recognition, if the SPY ends up gapping down, if you look at this daily candlestick right here, we have this nice uptrend. We have this nice uptrend. If the SPY gaps down, it's going to try to go bearish. So if the SPY is gapping down, you can look for put options, right? And in terms of the levels that you can look for put options, what I would keep an eye on, man, is since we closed at 593, some key levels of interest, if we are reacting bearish, 592, breakdown and retest. Drops below 592, spikes back up, turns this support into resistance, new lower highs, short the SPY. Next level below that for the breakdown and retest is going to be 591. The absolute lowest level would be 590. But I would focus on the higher levels if we're gapping down for potential puts. And later on into the day, it will attempt to have a bullish recovery. And in terms of the best zone I can give you, I would say if we're gapping down and reacting bearish, the key levels to be buying call options is going to be slightly under the previous day lows. So in terms of the overall zone, this is what I have for you. This is a massive support zone right here towards this 587 to 587.50 range. This is a make or break level. And based off the overall levels we're at, if the SPY is reacting bearish, it's going to try to bounce right around this zone in this 587 to 588 zone, slightly below the previous day lows. Next level below that is going to be toward the daily chart. So in terms of the daily chart, next pattern would be right here towards 585, previous resistance to react to support. And then you have a gap that is waiting to fill below at 582. Those would be all the levels for calls for a bullish reversal if the SPY is reacting bearish on a gap down. Now, in terms of the overall daily chart, that's the main patterns that I'm seeing. And if the SPY does end up gapping up, this is what I want you to be aware of. If the SPY is gapping up, you could attempt call options, but we are approaching the more overbought levels. You got to be a little bit careful. But in terms of the levels, if we are gapping up and reacting bullish for the gap and go, you're going to want to look for a floor at the 594. You can see right here, if we can get a floor, you see how there's a nice bottom wick, a floor is forming, and then you have the green, red, green. If the SPY is holding above 594 on a gap up for a gap and go for a break and retest, you're going to want to be buying call options. And in terms of where it's going to be on pace to go, it's going to be on pace to go to 596 to 599. Those would be the two levels of interest, right? The first level it would go to would be towards 596. There's some resistance there. The next level it would go to is going to be 597.50. The next level above that is going to be 599. In terms of key levels of interest to watch for put options and to go short if the SPY is reacting bullish, the best level possible would be at the gap. There is still a gap that is waiting to fill above at 600, as you could see right here in terms of the gap, 601.30. 601.30 is the overbought gap. This is one of the best possible gaps to possibly play puts for a gap close reversal. And you can keep an eye on 599, right? So write down all that information. I explained to you, if we're opening up flat, it's make or break. You're going to be looking for the floor or the roof. Once you get the confirmations, whether that's in pre-market or normal trade hours, you're going to take the trade, and you can always quickly switch sides if you're wrong about the overall trend on the first particular trade, right? And then if we're gapping up, it's going to try to have a gap and go. You're looking for 594 to react as bullish, right? If we gap down, it's going to try to crash first and then spike later at the oversold levels that I gave you. Very, very simple game plan. Use this information heading into tomorrow along with the 10-day 30-minute system. So in terms of the 10-day 30-minute system, what you're going to want to be focused for is with the levels that I gave you and the strategies, you're going to want to pull out 30-minute candlestick confirmations throughout the past 10 days. So you're specifically looking for patterns that have formed at the strategies, so gap and go, break and retest, break down and retest when SPY cracks support, spikes back up, forms lower highs, previous support reacts as a resistance, right? Key oversold levels. So in those particular strategies, you're looking for previous patterns on the 10-day 30-minute chart. And as I recap my trades, I show you the patterns that I use, but you're going back throughout the history of the 10-day 30-minute chart and you're analyzing patterns. You're analyzing to see, okay, when the SPY bottomed what 30-minute candlestick patterns were forming. When the SPY topped, what 30-minute candlestick patterns were forming. And you can combine that with similar levels and strategies that it was previously trading at with the past 10 days, right? So what did the candlesticks look like when it bottomed, when it had a reversal? What did the candlesticks look like when it topped, when it had a reversal? What did the candlesticks look like when it was forming a floor for a break and retest, when it was forming a roof for a breakdown and retest, right? So you're looking for simple 30-minute patterns. And that's what you're going to be looking for, man. Just very simple 30-minute patterns to capture that trend in history at the overall levels. Use the 30-minute candlestick confirmations with the levels. You should have a phenomenal green day heading into tomorrow. Another thing that I wanted to bring awareness to is the following. So I gave you the daily chart foundation, and then I explained to you levels with the 10-day, 30-minute chart along with the daily chart foundation, right? The four outcomes you're looking for, right? So previous closing price is make or break on a flat open. If we gap up, it's going to try to gap and go. If we gap down, it's going to try to drop first, and then it's going to try to spike later. I shared with you those possible outcomes, right? So you know what to do in terms of market open middle of the day. Now, in terms of a pattern that I'm seeing on the 30-minute chart, I want you to take a look at this pattern right here because this looks very similar. In terms of the SPY, we had this very sharp move up. And then the next day, it had this big sell-off, and then it came back to life. And this is exactly what I was talking about with that daily chart pattern. So like I said, if the SPY is gapping down, or if the SPY is just forming resistance, right? Look at this, red, green, red at the previous closing price, red, green, red, very bearish pattern at a key critical level with the daily chart foundation. It's going to sell off, and then it's going to start to bottom at a key critical support level, likely slightly below the previous day lows, in between that like 587 zone that I gave you, and then I gave you the next levels below that. But I'm telling you, if you're seeing bearish 30-minute candlestick confirmations, you're going to want to be buying puts towards the open if previous closing price is reacting bearish, sell into the move, and then wait for some sort of floor to develop at the oversold levels I gave you. And then the SPY is going to try to go a little bit bullish. But the first play would be puts if we're reacting bearish. So if you just compare the two, I think we can all agree that this right here looks very similar to this right here. So if you start to see like a little move up during the pre-market, and then it just drops right back down and previous closing price reacts bearish, it's going to try to sell off hard first and then recover. So that's one pattern to look for as well, right? Very similar pattern. And then, like I said, if we're gapping up and we're just holding above 594, it's going to try to be a gap and go in that particular situation. But in terms of just looking at this overall pattern, it looks very similar in terms of these two possible outcomes. This is what I would bring awareness to. The previous closing price reacts bearish, buy puts, and then calls towards the key oversold levels, wait for confirmations. The calls is going to be a bit more difficult, in that situation for that trend reversal, so give it some time. But the puts would be very simple if we're just simply reacting bearish at previous closing price. Calls, it's like you're looking to capture a bottom, which is going to be a bit more difficult. But when it bottoms, it's going to be a sharp move up. And I gave you the overall zones to look for, right? Basically below those previous day lows. Now, in terms of another possible outcome, it could be something like this, where the SPY has this nice move up right here. And then again, if we're gapping down, hard flush, gonna sell off if we're gapping down, likely not going back to previous closing price. So again, if we are gapping down, it could be something like this, where we have a hard sell off, and then it has a reversal later into the day towards the more oversold levels. So another thing I would add is on a gap down, it's more likely to go lower. So you can look at the lower levels towards 585 to 582, right? 583 is another key level to keep an eye on, man. If you look at this level right here, 583 is a crazy level as well. There's 584, 583. I think if you go a little bit further back, I'll show you exactly this. This is fucking crazy. Look at this. Look at this bottom right here at 583. 583 is crazy. So what I'm telling you is, if we gap down in terms of the reversal, it's best to go at the lower levels, right? 585, 583, and then 584, and then you have the gap at 582. If we're not really gapping down and we're reacting bearish, then look for the higher level for the call reversal. Look for the higher level at 587.70. So I explained to you these two patterns to look like, man. So you can see there is going to be many possible outcomes. If you use the information that I gave you at market open with 30-minute candlestick confirmations, I strongly believe you should have a phenomenal green day heading into tomorrow. So that's the overall game plan. Now, let's get into all the fucking winning, man. You guys are well aware, in terms of Team Roar, it's unlimited fucking winning. It's unlimited fucking printing. So with that being said, man, I'm going to break down the trades that we ended up making. So in terms of my own personal trading, I decided to not trade today. One of the main reasons in terms of why that was, the big move happened in the pre-market. And in terms of how we were reacting, it was very choppy and it wasn't really towards any of the levels I was interested in trading if SPY were to go above like 588. So I mainly just sat on the sidelines. Later into the day, once the chart was more developed and we had the green, red, green, I had noticed that there was a trend in the past where the main play was just going to be buy the dips, buy the dips, buy the dips, buy the dips. I did end up taking some of the trades in Team Roar, had a phenomenal green day. But other than that, in terms of my own personal trading, I didn't do too much, but I did recognize that this overall trend was bullish. I mean, if you look at this right here, I literally walked you through this in terms of the past couple of videos where there's resistance on the SPY. It has a nice break above resistance, and then it forms this 30-minute bullish candlestick. So if you ever see this 30-minute bullish candlestick right here form above previous resistance on a break and retest, right? You see how this looks bearish and then it drops. And then you see we start to break above this previous resistance and this reacts bullish, right? If you ever see that, buy calls. And then the green, red, green worked and it started to uptrend. But basically, later on throughout the day, I had noticed that this same day had happened before and the SPY was going to try to just overall go bullish and then have a small drop. The main thing for me was just the levels and the choppiness and the way the price was moving. Those were some of the reasons on why I kind of swayed away from overall SPY. But even this pattern, man, in terms of this pattern, this is the same pattern I teach you all the time that has never failed me in a sense. Red facing to the down, red facing to the up, buy fucking call options. But look, man, let's get into the overall trades. So in terms of the trades, as you can see inside of Team Roar, you do get an updated market game plan, which is going to help lead direction as well, along with new levels of interest, right? So during the pre-market trading session, you know, we're going to be able to be more accurate in a sense on what's going to potentially happen because there's more chart development. So you do get access to a key market game plan in terms of what to look for, when to go long, when to go short, the exact fucking key levels. Now, with that being said, this is a real-time zero-date options trading alert system that can consistently make you money at the speed of fucking light. So in terms of the overall system, I'm going to be breaking down the trades that we ended up making on the day. So 594 SPY calls at 46 cents a contract at 9:32 a.m. So if we go to 9:32 a.m. on 594 SPY calls, you're going to see this is exactly where we ended up buying these calls. So in terms of 9:32 a.m., I'm going to break this down here for you. We ended up getting in on these calls towards the lows. So we got in right here. This is where we got in, and it quickly went to 90 cents. So that's nearly a 100% profit return on the first trade, right? So in terms of the morning trade, it was a 100% profit return on the first morning trade, which is more than enough to call it for the day and walk away green. And then if you choose to keep trading, the most you risk is 25, 33 to 50% of your gains. If you hit that max risk, you have to force yourselves to stop trading, because if you keep on trading, you're going to go green to red. And that's not an option in terms of surviving within this market. We don't go green to red, which is another reason why we set profit stops on our trade. When you're up about 10, 15%, you're going to want to set a profit stop. When you're green on a trade and you set a profit stop, it's impossible to have a loss. It's impossible to go green to red. You get stopped out for profit. Move the stop up higher to ensure that you don't get back the bulk of your overall gains. And you don't have to put in all of your, contracts, right, as your profit stop. You can leave some to run that are not attached to it. Leave runners, sell deep in the money. So with that being said, in terms of the next trade, we had 572.5 Tesla puts for 75 cents a contract, right? So if you go to 572.5 puts for 72 cents a contract, you had 2 minutes to get in. And in terms of the entries, it would have been in the low 70-cent range. And then 1 minute later, and it lasted for 2 minutes, it went to 90 cents. So 70 to 90 cents is a 20-cent increase in the premiums, right? So we're talking like 30% gain. So what you need to understand is if you make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% in a couple of minutes, you can lose it just as fast as you made it, which is why when you're up 15%, you're going to want to set a profit stop. That way you get stopped out for profits. So there was more than enough time to get it on this trade, and it went from 70 to 90, which is a win. So if you set the profit stop when you're up 15% plus, you get stopped out for overall profits, right? So I wanted to bring awareness to that. This was another win that you could have had on Tesla. That is 2 for 2 in terms of the morning trading session. Now, two nice wins on the morning trading session. Obviously, the SPY calls was a lot better. I mean, if you go to the 594 calls, man, directly at open, I mean, this was fucking great. Fucking 40 cents to 92 cents. And then later on to the day, they went all the way down to 10 cents. And then they spiked to 50 cents. It's fucking crazy what you can do with options, man. Look at that. These contracts had a gap close reversal. The previous closing price on the contracts was at 15 cents. Once it closed this gap, it had a reversal. I'm telling you, man, that gap close reversal strategy, you can even watch the strategy on the previous closing price on a contract to just get an idea if they're extremely undervalued. It's something to keep an eye on. Now, in terms of the next trade, let's get into it, man. So the morning trades, that's 2 for 2 you could have had. In terms of the third trade, 5990 SPX calls for 150 cents a contract, right? So in terms of this overall trade, that was an L. That one did not work out. But risk management 101, 2 wins before that you could have. If you choose to keep on trading, the most you risk is 50% at the very most. So this trade did not work out. The good thing is the 2 trades before that did. So losing and going red on the day is a personal fucking choice if you followed along with the system. Now, in terms of the next trade, right? So you can see right here at 10:01 a.m. So these calls didn't work out, but 10:08 a.m., 5980 calls, these calls did end up working out in a sense. So I'm going to break this down here for you. I always tell you, man, if we stick with the same side and the first strike doesn't work out, so this was the first strike, it didn't work out, right? The second strike, right? It wasn't as far out of the money. It worked out. I always tell you all the time, the second strike tends to do a lot better. So if we have a losing play and we stick to the same side and we go to new strike, it's likely going to be a massive win. So if you like, you can size in a little bit bigger, 25 to 30%, a little bit bigger on that position size. So in terms of 10:08 a.m., if you go to 5980 calls, right, I'm going to walk you through this. This is where we got in. Right here at 10:08 a.m., we got in towards the low of this candle. They went from 200 to 280, and then back to 200, and then higher at 300. That's a 50% profit return. Set the profit stops. Now, in terms of the next overall trade, let's get into it, man. Always make sure you guys are also using market orders, on your entry, right? When you're getting filled, use market, don't use limit, and make sure you're using cash count as well, right? Cash count's going to allow you to make a lot more trades on these cheap contracts. Do not trade margin, especially if you're below 25K. You do not want to be under the PDT rule with this overall system and style of trading. Use the cash account. Now, in terms of brokers, make sure Thinkorswim. I would look into Thinkorswim. If not, you can look into Interactive Brokers or Webull. I do not recommend that you use our style of trading with Robinhood, especially during power hour. It's just simply not going to work out. So in terms of the next trade, 10:38 a.m. Let's buy 593 SPY calls for 78 cents. So if you go to 10:38 a.m. right here, this is where we got in. We got in towards the low of this candle, and it quickly went to 100 cents, right? So in terms of that particular trade, it ended up dropping all the way down to 20 cents as well. And then it went all the way back to 100. That could have been a small win for you. This was a quick trade that went from 78 cents to 100 cents, looking about a 30% return. Remember, set those fucking profit stops. You can see sometimes those quick gains of 30, 40% get wiped the fuck out just as fast as it went up. And then there's other times where it just keeps on going up. You set the profit stops, move the profit stop up higher. And then if you want a really massive win, right, and you don't want to get stopped out for the bulk of the overall profit, you want to risk some, you can leave runners and sell those runners deep in the money, right? So the 593 calls, that was another win. Now, 589 SPY puts. 589 SPY puts for 71 cents a contract. You go to 589 SPY puts for 71 cents a contract. This is where we got in. We got in right here towards the 70 cent range, right? In terms of this overall trade, we got in towards the lows. This is literally towards the lows. This consolidation is 60 to 120. The fucking puts went up 100%. We bought them nearly at the lows. That is another massive fucking win on 589 puts right here at 10:50 a.m. Now, in terms of the next trade, let's buy 139 NVIDIA calls for 55 cents a contract at 10:55 a.m. So if you go to NVIDIA calls right here at 10:55 a.m., you are going to see this is where we got in. We got in right here at the exact peak. The contracts dropped 50%. What do I tell you? I tell you that we trade the trend. The beauty of trading the trend is these contracts can drop 50% plus, which is what we call a dead play. And in that particular situation, what can happen is it can come back to life later on into the day, as long as we're right about the trend. Again, we're going extremely far out of the money, but it's like close enough where we can sell it in the money, right? So think very far of the money, very cheap, but close enough in terms of the overall profit targets in trend day where we can sell it in the money. So the point is the trade dropped 50%. Inside of Team Roar with our real-time zero-day option trading alert system, we do not use stop losses. If we used a stop loss, we wouldn't be able to hold and trade the trend. If we used a stop loss, we would get stopped out whenever we don't time a trade perfectly. So if timing doesn't fucking matter, as long as we're trading the trend, why the fuck would we use a stop loss? What you're going to want to do is you want to risk less. You put in your max risk per trade. Basically, think about it like this. Your entire position size is your max risk per trade, right? So if you're risking a couple percent of your account in the trade and the trade expires worthless and goes to zero, right? Then that's what you lose. If the trade goes to zero, think of your loss as your max risk per trade. Now, in terms of what you win, it's unlimited profit potential. So the trade dropped 50%. We don't use stop loss. And then as you can see, the trend kicked in and these contracts went from 60 cents all the way to 85 cents, nearly 50% plus, right? So the point is never use a stop loss inside of Team Roar. We do use profit stops to ensure that we get stopped out for profit, right? So we're doing the complete opposite of what everybody else is doing. We're trading the trend. If we don't time the trade perfectly, 70% of the time, the trade comes back to life, even if it's down over 90 fucking percent. And then in terms of when we are in that situation where we're down a lot percentage-wise on a play, we tend to buy a second strike on the overall trend. And the second strike tends to be timed way better. And it tends to be a massive fucking win, which is why you're going to want to size in a little bit bigger. So another side note is if we're down like 50, 80% on a play and you see us stick to the same side with a different strike, that could be confirmation that you should size in a little bit bigger. And then another thing you can do is you can just wait for us to have like a dead play. And just once we have the dead play, then you can make your first trade after that. That's just another thing you can do. You can experiment with the system, man. This is unlimited fucking options. You can create your own system out of our system, man. I mean, that's just one thing that I've observed. Like, you know, some people, they trade the whole system. They'll get in here. It'll drop 50%. They'll buy another strike if it's alerted, right? And they'll size in a little bit bigger. Or you can just miss out on the plays. And then if it just drops fucking 50, 90% on the next fucking strike, if it's the same side, just go with that one. But it is best to kind of just like stick with the overall system. But I'm just giving you some ideas, man, because I'm telling you, losing streaks don't happen inside of Team Roar. So another thing is, like, if we had 2 L's in a row, it might be wise to go a little bit bigger on the third trade. I'm just giving you some ideas, man. But I'm telling you, those dead plays tend to come back to life. And that's second strike. So it's like if you don't even want to be in a dead play, you can just wait for the dead play to be dead and not take it. And then the next play, you can take the next play. I'm just giving you some ideas, man. You know, obviously the people with more money, they just play the fucking system and use this all to their fucking advantage, man. I'm just giving some small accounts some ideas because there's many option strategies that you can make out of strikes and out of fucking trends, right? So I'm just trying to open your mind a little bit up in terms of like ways to think about using this overall system to your advantage, right? You don't have to take every single trade. It is recommended though that, you know, you do follow along with the overall trades. And then from there, once you're green enough, which is 2 small wins in a row or 1 big win, you risk 25, 33%, or 50% of your overall gains at the very most. So you don't go green to red. So NVIDIA calls was an absolute win. Like I said, man, you can create your own fucking systems out of this system. So in terms of 12:10 p.m., let's buy 592 SPY calls, right? So in terms of these 592 SPY calls at 12:10 p.m., you're going to see, what did I just explain to you? I just explained to you, right? So NVIDIA, SPY, they tend to follow each other in a sense. So NVIDIA was down 50%, right? Instead of adding and adding and adding to NVIDIA, what do we do shortly after? So this is at 10:55 a.m. It quickly drops to 50%. Shortly after that, a little bit over a fucking hour, we fucking buy 592 SPY calls at 70 cents. And then as you could see, we bought these fucking calls at the exact lows. Look at the chart. This is where we got in, right here, 12:10 p.m., 592 calls. We get in at the low, and it quickly went up all the way to 200 cents a contract, right? This was a phenomenal fucking trade. It went all the way up to 200, right there. You could have made a phenomenal win on that particular trade, man. 50s to fucking 200. So just remember what I told you about that second strike. If a play is dead and we're on the same side, the next play tends to be fucking massive. So you can just wait for the play to be dead and not take it and risk missing out on a big win, right? Or you can just take the fucking play, and if it's dead, take the second one, size it a little bigger. You decide what you want to do. I'm just trying to open your mind up a little bit on how you can potentially use this to your own advantage, right? And of course, with your own confluence as well. So in terms of the next trade, 12 p.m., 5960 SPX calls for 185 cents a contract, right? So of course, buying these SPY calls literally towards the exact lows was just not enough winning for us. We did have to buy another strike to just win more and to win even fucking bigger. So this is two massive wins in a row. 12 p.m., you go to 5960 calls. Listen, man, who the fuck do you know is doing this, right? So obviously the SPX calls went up a fuck ton more. These went from fucking like 150s all the way to fucking 500. It's like, dude, who the fuck do you know is winning this much big unlimited fucking money printing, right? So that's two massive fucking wins in a row. If you do the math on the amount of wins we have in the percentage gains, even if we have 2 losses on the day, 3 losses on the day, it always outweighs the fucking losses. The percentage gains always outweigh the percentage losses. And the win rate is extremely fucking high, typically above 90%, right? In terms of our green days, we're green literally 95% of the times on the overall day. So in terms of those trades, those were massive fucking wins. Now look at this. Typically, when we keep on trading, we just tend to get better in a sense, right? As the chart is more developed, it's a lot easier to trade in my opinion. So take a look at this one. 1:16 p.m., 5955 SPX calls for 250 cents a contract, right? So you go to 1:16 p.m., as you can see, these 3 trades that I just showed you, first one on SPY calls, 2 on SPX, the charts are literally fucking identical, all at different times, all different wins. Look at this one, man. It just keeps on getting better. 200s, we're in at the exact low, goes to fucking 400, and then drops right back down to our entry, and then goes to 800. You're going to see that happen all the time as well, where you can get profit stopped out for a nice gain, and it goes right back to your entry, or it goes back even way lower, below your entry, and then it goes higher. That's another thing to write down. That happens a lot, man. When you get profit stopped out, it could be a situation, especially if we're on the trend, where the contracts are just decayed, and within time, it just goes fucking lower, or it bottoms at our same entry, then the big move happens. You tend to see big moves happen when crazy fucking moves happen. 200 to 400 back to 200 is fucking crazy. So if it keeps on fucking flushing or bottom at 200, that's when an even more bigger move can fucking happen. Then boom, to 800. That was fucking insane, man. Look at the fucking results, man. Who the fuck do you know is consistently winning non-fucking stop like this, printing at the speed of fucking light, man? It's like the consistency, the gains, the massive fucking gains. 116, 250, all the way to fucking 720. These are the option quote prices moving in real time, explaining to you exactly where to set the profit stops. It's like, dude, all the work is done here for you in a sense, man. And like I said, you can create your own systems out of this overall system to your advantage. Now, in terms of 2:51 p.m., as you can see, we ended up getting in puts. So in terms of the overall puts, right, we had 2 trades on puts, and they did not work out. It was against the overall trend. It did not work out. But the final trade on puts did end up working out. The 5950 puts at 3:36 p.m., this did end up working out, right? So if you go to 3:36 p.m. on these overall, puts, this one did end up working out. It had a nice little increase in premiums from 100 to 300 nearly. So that's nearly a 200% plus profit return. Literally 125 all the way to 285. Look at this, man. This consolidation is a 200% return. So this is another great situation. Take a look at this. So before then, we basically had only 1 L, I think, and it was just all massive fucking wins. Multiple trades went up 500%. 3 massive fucking trades went up multi 100% in a row on the SPY, and then double SPX calls. And then these puts did not work out, so this was an L. But then this one didn't work out as well. That was an L. That rarely happens where there's 2 L's in a row. But third time's the charm, and take a look at this. 2 L's could be 50% each, could be 100% each, depending on where you decide to get out. Like I said, we just typically just hold to 0, and we'll never use a stop loss. Sometimes we will sell the moves, but we will never use a stop loss. Sometimes we might sell for an overall loss, but we'll never use a stop loss, and we never recommend using a stop loss. And it's best to kind of just hold the contracts till 0. It depends on the situation, though. You got to think in terms of the risk management 101 and everything, right? But in terms of 3:36 p.m., let's buy 5950 SPX puts for 125 a contract. If you go to 3:36 p.m., you're just going to see, man, We're in at the exact lows. Look at this. This is 100. This is 125. And then it quickly goes to 290. That's 200%. A 200% return wipes out those past two L's if you're sizing in accordingly with the max risk per trade. So I'm just opening your mind up to some ideas. You guys need to understand with far out of the money options, it gives you the most options within the market. It basically gives you unlimited options. But the point is, with two L's and one win, that's a 33% win rate, but that's still profitable percentage-wise. So if you're sizing in accordingly and getting out accordingly, in that particular situation, you could have been profitable with a 33% win rate. But you got to keep in mind, before then, we already had more than enough massive wins where you either just stop trading for the day, or if you choose to keep on fucking going, the most you risk is 25 to 50%, right? So with that being said, man, we're absolutely crushing it. If you want to be a part of our secured private organization, it is going to be the first link down below within the description, man. First week here, up over $2,500. Absolutely insane, man. Literally the first week here. And, you know, this, literally the first week here, and this member has made over more than enough of the cost to stay here for over a year on the monthly subscription. Like, that's more than 14, 15 months easily, man. Very consistent member. It's like, dude, we're fucking winning and we're fucking printing unlimited, like non-fucking stop. I would suggest you get in here, like just today, more than the yearly subscription. It's like, man, I'm looking at the group and I'm saying the amount of people that join this group and make $2,000 on this first week. It's like, man, why the fuck aren't we charging more? Like, I feel like I'm getting fucking skinned alive over here in a sense. I'm like saying they're making thousands of dollars a week and we're only charging that much. We should be raising a price, man. But we are thinking of small accounts. You know, we're priced at a very fair value. It's not too high. It's not too low. But my gosh, we should be charging a fuck ton more. Some of the top groups on WAP are charging multiple $100s a week. I saw one of the top groups charge $600 a week. We're fucking printing a fuck ton more than they are. It's like, dude, nobody fucking prints like us, man. Look at this. Wonka is up 923% year to fucking date. We have a member up 1,000% 2 weeks into the fucking new year. If you want to make 2025 your best fucking year, I would suggest you get involved with a secured private network that is backed by multimillionaires, that has a real-time zero-day options trading alert system with a 95% plus success rate, that is printing at the speed of fucking light, winning unlimited nonstop, outperforming every single organization and network that you know of. Who do you know is making this many trades on a day? And today was like a more slow and choppy, shitty day. But those fucking SPY and double SPX calls, and then that play on SPX puts at the fucking close, it's like, dude, who the fuck do you know is doing this, man? Nobody else is fucking print like us. For $20,000 wired to your account, who do you know of is winning this much, trading this much, winning this much, highest win rate in the game, biggest wins in the fucking game, every single fucking day, man? The results speak for themselves, man. So, if you're serious about making money and you would like to gain access to our community and to our real-time zero-day options trading alert system, it's the first link down below within our description. And inside of our community, you will see and you'll be able to network with multimillionaires within the community. There's phenomenal traders within our community. And you'll be able to ask us questions. You know, within the chat, you can ask us questions. GWAR is extremely active in the chat, you know, replying to all the questions and stuff like that. So if you're serious about trading alongside traders with a decade of experience, if you're serious about trading alongside with a multimillionaire, if you're serious about surrounding yourself with a secured private organization that is printing at the speed of fucking light, it's the first link down below within the description. I'm telling you, this is the best investment you can make, man. It's like people, they just give all their money to the market. They never fucking learn, dude. It's like if you invest into yourself and into a private network that has access to a zero-day options trading alert system with the highest win rate in the game, buying cheap, low risk, far the money option contracts, no stop losses, max risk per trade is what you put into the contracts. Winning potential is unlimited with the biggest wins in the market and the highest win rate. It's like, dude, it's unlimited fucking winning. And we set profit stops to ensure that we get stopped out for profit. We move the profit stop up higher to ensure that we don't get back the bulk of our gains on a move. We leave runners, we hold the runners to sell deep in the fucking money, man. So I'm telling you, if you're serious, man, this group has been at all-time highs, non-fucking stop. Memberships, everyone just keeps on, everything just keeps on fucking going up. The retention rate is above 90%. That means 9 out of 10 members stick with us for a very, very long time. We have hundreds of members who've been with us from the start for over 15 months. It's like the amount of fucking printing in here is fucking insane, man. I'm telling you, man, this group has days where collectively, as a whole, I've seen it, multi-six figures, We've had days collectively as a whole where it's been over $1 million. It's like what you can do with thousands of percent gains each day with a fuck ton of members, it compounds to a fuck ton of money each fucking day, man. So like I said, man, we got the highest retention in the game. We got the biggest win rate in the game. We got the biggest gains in a day. And we trade a lot. There's a lot of fucking winning in here, man. And just make sure, when you're up enough, one big win, two small wins, you just call it for the day. If you choose to keep trading, then that's on you. And the most you risk is 25 to 50%. If you lose 25 to 50% of your gains, then just shut it down. Don't fucking trade. Just observe the market if you like. Because in terms of surviving in this market, green to red on the day is not an option. We need all of your days to go green, especially if you want to stay here, man. Staying here, it's like to stay here, you're going to have to win. And you're going to have to win non-fucking stop, man. There's a reason why our members aren't fucking leaving. Because they see this is unlimited fucking winning. And they see multi-fucking millionaires. And they see it's just non-stop fucking winning. And it's a very active and supportive community with multi-millionaires and phenomenal traders inside of it. So for those of you who are serious about trading alongside with us, like I said, man, it's just like, dude, $27,000 in a day. This guy made $27,000 in a day. I'm thinking to myself, like, this guy literally just made fucking 15, nearly 20 fucking years to fucking stay in Team Roar in a single day. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, should we start a firm? Like, we should start a firm. We should start something fucking bigger. It's like, dude, within time, people are not going to see what's coming, man. I can't say too much. People are not going to see what's coming. But it's just like, man, within time, there's going to be much bigger things than a real-time zero-day options trading alert system. The zero-day options trading alert system is part of terms of what is that we're doing. Obviously, the foundation that started all of this was the education, the educational group with, the system overall course and trade alerts in the community. And then in terms of, now we have a zero-day options trading alert system. It's like we're going to be doing much bigger things within the future. But man, it's just that blows my fucking mind. Someone can literally pay a monthly fee, come in here, make thousands of dollars, and that's all they had to pay. I'm like, man, that's a good investment. $150 a month, come in, make thousands of dollars within a day, within a fucking week. This guy made $27,000, man. Like, do you realize our fucking cut out of that is literally a monthly subscription? It's like, dude, we're fucking undercharging. We're going to have to start a firm or something. Like, that's just fucking insane, man. Now, with that being said, for those of you who are serious about making money, is the first link down below within the description. You gain access to a real-time zero-day options trading alert system backed by a multimillionaire. You gain access to our real-time community where you can chat alongside, right? The creator of the fucking system, man. You could chat alongside us. You can ask us fucking questions and you can print with us non-fucking stop, man. At the end of the day, you just have to understand there's not a single fucking group out there that has this many big wins every single day with the cheapest, lowest risk barrier to fucking entry. Great for small accounts, great for rich people who prefer to risk less, pay less, and make fucking more. It's like, dude, nobody's fucking doing this. Nobody's fucking printing like us. If you haven't optimized for this style of trading in 2025, you are literally sleeping on the greatest opportunity within the stock market if you trade with real money. If you trade with real money, there's nothing else you're going to be able to do, especially with a small account. In the money options is fucking stupid. If you're the best, you trade far the money options, right? Trading shares, fucking stupid. Fucking, it's like, dude, none of that shit's going to make anyone money. Why the fuck would we trade shares? Why would multimillionaires spend their time day trading shares or in the money option when they could just buy far out of the money option contracts, not use stop losses, pay less, risk less, let the holding of the trade, let the big percentage of the gains of the trade make all the money for them? It's like we've created a system where we're genuinely paying and risking less to make more money and bigger percentage gains than everybody fucking else. And the system is so fucking powerful, we don't even need a stop loss. It's like, dude, if the contract expires worthless and goes to zero, we lost our max risk per trade. The other traders, they lose their max risk per trade on a stop loss. With us, we lose our max risk per trade if the contract expires worthless and go to zero. And we have from market open to market close for the contract to go in the money. And before it goes in the money, we're still up on the trade if it's green, and we set a profit stop and we get stopped out for profit and we leave and hold runners. So listen, man, I would suggest you get involved with this secure private organization because you will be left behind. We have serious investors within this overall company. We are backed by multimillionaires. We have the highest win rate in the game. We have the biggest percentage wins. We have the best fucking system. Do you understand? There's multimillionaires out there with decades of experience who are dedicated to creating the best money-making system for people to learn how to trade, for people to trade alongside them, for people to grow. And like I said, you can create your own fucking systems out of this fucking system, right? I gave you some ideas in terms of things you can do to your advantage with risk management and with the second strike, maybe size in more, or maybe you could just wait for a dead play. When the play's dead, you take the next trade, right? That could be potentially better for someone with a smaller amount of money. Maybe they wait for 2 losses in a row, then they take the next trade. Or maybe they wait for a dead play and then they take the next trade. I'm just giving you some ideas, man, because it's very rare after 2 losses in a row that we have another loss. So write that down. And in that particular situation where we're in on a dead play and then we enter another play in the same overall side with the trend, it tends to work out. So write that down. That information I just shared with you is worth a lot of money. Do you understand? So use that to your advantage. Like I said, man, in terms of surviving, it's going to be harder for the people with less cushions. But at the end of the day, this is the cheapest, lowest risk style of trading. And it gives you the biggest percentage gains within the market. And we figured out a way to have a 90% success rate doing this, man. If you trade the trend, the timing of the trade doesn't matter. Obviously, if we don't time the trade right, it's going to be a massive difference between the percentage gains. If we buy at 100 and it drops to 10 cents and we sell at 200, that's 100% gain. But if we bought at 10 cents, that's 1,000% gain. But when it drops to 10 cents, instead of adding to a loser, we buy a second strike. And then there's going to be other situations where we just time it perfectly and it goes from 10 cents to 1,000 to 100. So you with me, man? Are you understanding this? So within this video, I want it to be a little bit more calm. I've noticed, we got a lot of new people who are watching the overall content. I want it to be a little bit more calm just so you guys kind of understand, what is that we're doing and stuff like that. I didn't want to be as hype. I just want it to be a little bit more calm and just break things down for you and just really kind of explain some ways that you can use this to your advantage. For those of you who stayed to the end in terms of this video, I really gave with you some good information there in terms of like what you can use with this system. And like I said, we have traders who use this for their own confluence. If they're bullish or bearish and then they see we're on a trade, they use that to their confluence, right? We have people who are trading on prop firms. In terms of trading on a prop firm, I mean, if you're going to go that way and not trade with real money, in a sense, it's like, just make sure that in a sense, you don't have a stop loss on. That's just one thing I have to say about that. Like, if we're in on SPY calls and then you're going to buy fucking ES contracts or whatever the fuck, it's like, make sure that you're in a situation where you don't get stopped out. And that's one of the problems with prop firms. They have a stop loss on your fucking account. So, just make sure you're only in on like one fucking contract if you're on the fucking prop firms. Again, just want you to be aware of that, because the beauty of our system is, the instrument we chose to trade, the asset class, is far the money option contracts. And the best part about far the money option contracts is these are the cheapest trades, the lowest risk, and the biggest percentage gains in the market. And like I said, not that we need to. With this system, you could be successful with a win rate as low as 33%, which is the best foundation to have as a trader, is to be profitable with a low win rate due to risk management 101 and something that is cheap, low risk with the highest percentage gain potential, right? But we have the highest win rate in the game because we've been doing this for over a decade. So the point is, we're the fucking best. If you sleep on us, you're genuinely choosing to stay broke. If you would like to level up and trade alongside us, the way to get better at trading is to trade. And if you trade alongside us and you trade along this system and start using it to your advantage in your own unique way as well, along with, asking questions within the chat, with G, where he can help assist you as well. We can help assist you as well. It's the first link down below within the description, man. If you're serious about making money, it's the first link. This group is for people who are serious about making money. If you want to print all fucking day, you want to win all day, you want to level up and gain experience, I'm telling you, man, I've traded with thousands of traders. I've started, many communities, worked with thousands of traders, worked with people in person. I've done a lot. In terms of the one trader that I actually fused with, it was with G-Roar. This is the one person who has helped level up my fucking trading like fucking crazy. Nobody out there, in a sense, has really helped me in that sense. In terms of fusing with someone and, in terms of like fusing, if you work with someone, there could be a connection and there could be spirituality. There could be a relationship in a sense. If you work closely with someone, obviously, some people they're not going to be able to connect with other people. But what I'm telling you is this is someone who I've actually connected with. And for me, that's like 1 to fucking million to be able to connect with someone. So I'm telling you, this is the main guy who's helped improve my trading massively. And in terms of G-Roar, I helped him in a sense with the gap close reversal trading strategy. That was the foundation to my educational company, was the gap close reversal trading strategy. That's a unique strategy that I created in the market, along with the 30-minute chart. So, the main things that I taught people is how to trade using the 30-minute chart, which is my main foundation in terms of the educational system, and the gap close reversal strategy. So we've both taught each other different things. And you know, I fused with G-Roar, and G-Roar is a multi-millionaire. And like I said, man, really nobody else in a sense has helped me level up. So big shout out to G-Roar. Now, with that being said, if you're serious about making money, it's the first link down below within the description. I'm going to be signing off. I will see you guys within shot. Tomorrow should be a much better trading day where I do see myself trading. Like I said, man, it's just the big move happened. So in terms of my own personal trades, I didn't alert any trades today. I didn't like the overall price action. I did see some bullishness, but I didn't like the price action and I didn't like the levels. So I chose in terms of my own personal trading to sit on the sidelines, but I did follow some of the trades in Team Roar and I did go green that way. But with that being said, man, I'm telling you, this community is amazing. We have many members. They don't even use the community. Some people just use the system. You know, some people don't want to chat with G-Roar or they don't want to network with other people. That's completely fine. But if you have any questions, you can ask us at any time within the overall chat. And you know, there's a lot of value within the community and networking. And there's obviously, you know, most value with the real-time zero-day option trading alert system and being able to trade along and chat alongside us in real time. So it's the first link down below within the description if you'd like to trade alongside with us. With that being said, I'm going to be signing off.